Good morning to all. I thank for your attention, and I am very happy to stay with you in spirit, not physically, but I couldn't came this year, and I hope to stay with you next year. This is an important occasion to share with you the ideas, the truth, with you and with the friend like that and the other. It is an important moment because it is necessary to understand the crisis of our time, and the time has to come to understand that we are facing an anthropological crisis and not economic crisis as it is reductively defined. In fact, we are facing a failure of socio-cultural model defined after the Second War and written in universal human right in 48. And if you see the Declaration of Universal Human Right, you can see now that no one is realized, and everyone has been cancelled by the sea on the sand. The problem is understand the history, and nobody wants now to understand the past, because we live in a contemporary society in which everyone think day for day and forget the past. But as Shakespeare said in The Storm, what the past is a prologue. The past is a prologue of our present, and we cannot understand the present if we cannot understand the past. And in this situation, we cannot define our future, or in which way we are going. The problem began in 45, as we see in the figures. In 45, after the Second War, we decide the country, the United States and the other Occidental countries, define the exchange, the monetary exchange, gold exchange standard. What does it mean? That the print of the paper money was linked to underlying gold in this case, and for this reason, United States could print paper money $36 every ounce of gold. 36, not 38, 36. And this condition has been important for development of after the Second War. In Italy, in United States, we saw the American dream. And for this reason, you see in the figure, until 71, the inequality decreased, the debt decreased, the public debt decreased, the employment increased, and everything is very good. We live in a market with fixed changes, but everything changed in the same period for all the countries, 70, 72. And you see clearly in this figure. In this figure, you see on your left the last century in United States, and you see in one figure the trend of inequality. If you see at the beginning of the century, inequality slowly decreased until 71. And after increase until now. And until now, when we have in the world the higher concentration in wealth and high problem of inequality in all the world. And the same century, we see in the other figure the social capital. The social capital increase, especially after the Second War, because all the people think to the common good. And we arrive to the bigger point of social capital exactly in the same point in which we have the lower inequality. And this point is the same 71. And after this moment, everything changes. Why? So it is important to understand because everything changes in the same period, 70, 72, 71, 72. Before, the United States had the Vietnam War, and it had a very great expenditure, and it was necessary for United States to print paper money without limits. For this reason, in 71, Nixon, with Volcker, the governor of the Fed, decided to detach the print of dollar from underlying gold, underlying real goods. And in this way, we have created two worlds absolutely asymmetric. The world of infinite paper money, in which you can print all the money, the paper money, all you want, in the time you want, without absolutely limit. No physical limit, no temporary limit, absolutely. But in the other world, we live it. And in this world, we live in a finite world. Everything is measurable because the gold, the time, everything is measurable. But in an infinite world of paper money, everything isn't measurable. And we cannot stay with a finite world and an infinite world, finished world and infinite world. It's absolutely impossible because following the Aristotelian logic, A cannot be at the same time not A. Or we have A or we have not A. So we cannot have a finite world living with an infinite world. But the interest and the power wanted to push this cultural model and realize that finance is rational culture. And is not very strange, but it is not necessary casually, that in 71 Bern, in Chicago, the monetarism culture with Milton Friedman and after the Chicago Boys. Probably the monetarist culture without gold exchange, without the finish of gold exchange standard, we didn't have monetarist culture. Friedman in 2003 said, if I return, for me it has been a great mistake, the monetarism culture. The monetarism culture is affirm a very great mistake, defined by Friedrich von Hayek, Nobel Award in 74, and von Hayek say you are doing a very great mistake because we began to study economy with the same cultural model in which we study maths, physics, chemistry. But it's totally different to study human social science and positive science. Economy is social science, not positive science. And for this reason, von Hayek declared in this award speech for the Nobel in 74, we are studying economy with studying only what is measurable. But in economy, the society isn't measurable. The market isn't measurable. And for this reason, we cannot do the universal law like you can do in physics. For example, gravity force. Gravity force is independent of emotional man. Gravity force is universal law. But when we are decided about our wealth, about our work, about our needs, we decide in order our emotional life, not rational life. And when Lucas won the Nobel Award in '94 for the reason that the financial markets are totally rational. But this Nobel is totally different than the Nobel for Hayek. For Hayek said, we are doing a very great mistake because we study economy only for what is measurable. In economy, what is measurable is very small things. And for this reason, this Nobel is totally different, or is true one, or is true another one, not together. But this problem has been absolutely not. The interest, the word, the power, the real finance power didn't want to accept the truth, and they wanted to explain as uncontrovertible truth the monetarism and the rational market. The financial revolution changed completely our way of life, because also financial revolution has cancelled the 7th commandment, do not steal, and also the theft is change sense. The 7th commandment is don't to steal, but the wealth before was real good, gold, jewelry, house, and the other. But after financial revolution, the wealth is a number, is created not with an accumulation of real good, but with debt, leverage for enterprise, and mortgage subprime for the private. For this reason, the financial revolution changed completely the way to live, the way to create wealth, and the wealth now is not a real thing, but is a number. Is a number, not one house, 3 houses, the penture on the other. Is absolutely a number. A number, and all the financial market being detached from the real world is something totally different from real world. And all the prices that you see about the petrol, about the gold, about the currency are always manipulated by an infinite exchange. We can define derivatives, we can define other form of subprime or swaps or option, in which the people exchange, buy and sell something that they don't have. And for this reason, they define the price better, define the expectative of the price, and there is an important condition in this situation, that the contract is the condition with I sell something to to another who buy something by me. And the condition that the contract is correct if there is the correct symmetry. You know what you are selling, and I know what I am buying. But in a financial market, nobody knows what is a derivatives. Nobody knows what is the swaps. Nobody knows what is the option. And for the reason, we have a fraud. This is a fraud. This is universal fraud. And with this condition is a fraud also against the state. And financial, cultural financial, use the finance as unconventional weapon. You are a state, your government isn't good for me, so I can use the weapon like a spread, like a rating, but this measure is absolutely without scientific roots. This is the truth. Another question is, important, the finance, the creation of the wealth is very, very quickly than real economy. And with the finance, I increase my wealth in one day. And for this reason, we have created, and this is the real question of this speech, the inequality. Inequality increase in the way absolutely unacceptable, and you can see in the United States the connection between inequality and disease, mental and physical, and is very clear. If inequality increase, the society collapse. Collapse because we have the obesity, we have the young woman pregnant, we have the opioid use, we have murder, we have imprisonment. In the United States, we have the people which is 3% of the total people in the world. But in the United States, we have 23% of the people in prison in all the world. So a society cannot live in this way because more or less all the society in the world, in the history of our history, in the human history, the society collapsed only for two reasons: war and inequality. War and inequality. Another problem, the finance, is to realize wealth in very short time. Very, very short time. And for this reason, in from 90 until 99, the United States, following the mantra create value for shareholder, began to export the manufacturing job in China. And China began the factory of the world. And you can see exactly in the figure that from 1999, the manufacturing job in the United States decreased by 21% to 10%. And in the same time, in China, increased the PIL, absolutely vertical. United States, in this way, has created the new China, and created the power of the China. And the problem is, if you don't have a manufacturing job, you cannot create wealth. You can print money, but print money is not create wealth. You create wealth with only with real job, manufacturing job. This is very important, and it's necessary to return to real economy. It is necessary to return to the man, to the spirit of the man, to the spirit. You cannot measure the society with a statistical model, because a society is a And human society there is emotional problem, and we cannot measure emotion. It is possible. We cannot measure the love of the mother for the son. Can measure the love of the mother for the son with the food. But in this way, we have the obesity. The love is another thing. And discover this is very, very important. And as you see in the final figure, you see the dramatic situation in the United States, and United States with a great problem about society, about the murder, about the crime, about the prison, about the opioid, the cocaine use, the millennial without work. If you see the students, the American boy who study in university using the money of the bank, but they were sure to pay quickly the debt against the bank. But now this boy work as in magazine, work in restaurant, work in fast food. And the debt of this American student against the bank now is more than $1,500 billion. And probably they will not pay ever this amount. And for this reason, in the last figure, you see that the sanitary expenditure in the United States spend a great amount per person for healthcare, the double of the Switzerland. But the expectancy of the life in the United States now is lower of the China. And so the problem is necessary to understand the sense of our time. It is necessary to understand the history. It is necessary to return to the past, to the roots of our life. And so means to return to the family. The role of the family is very important because no one society can live without root in the family, because the family is the system of a relationship. We cannot live in an individual society in which everyone thinks to himself against the other. And difference to this old Latin term, societies, societas, and bellum omnium contra omnes. Societies in Old Latin means alliance, to stay together, and to stay and to are available to divide the common good. It is necessary. You cannot realize what you want. You can realize what is it possible together with the other. But now our society is, as Latin said, bellum omnium contra omnium. Means this is a monster. So the bellum, the war of one against the other. My life is your death. And for this reason, we cannot live, because the history shows clearly that we are at the end of a socio-cultural model, because an Italian scientist, Giambattista Vico, last 3 centuries ago, wrote history repeat itself. And if you see in the long waves of the history, we can say 3,000 or more, 4,000 years, you can see the cycle, the history as the cycle, because the actor of the history is the man. The man is always the same, and the man has always the same nature, balancing between Cain and Abel. Sometimes is Cain the winner, and after the pain, always after the pain, the man understand the truth, appear Abel. But Abel not stay too much time, because the history move again toward Cain. And now we are to pass from Cain to Abel. This is very great challenge against us, facing us, and together with you, we have to use our thought, our force, our love to change this world. I finish my speech, and with this occasion, I say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, but happy with much hope. We cannot live ever the hope. Hope is an important moment of the life of the man. We cannot live without hope. Thank you very much for your attention, my friend.